Think about the economic map of the United States. There's some cities like Austin, like Boston, Pittsburgh, Raleigh. They seem to be able to reinvent themselves over time. The industries are the things that made them grow in the past and not the things that define them today. But there's other places across the country that decline after a major industry disappears and they aren't able to reinvent themselves. So the question is, what drives these differences? Is it that successful cities specialize in a single industry and get really good at it, like Detroit with the auto industry? Or is it that they host a mix of different industries and constantly generate new ideas? So this is the question that we're going to talk about with this article, Growth in Cities. So this paper takes three competing theories about knowledge spillovers and puts them to the test against each other. So the first is what they call the Marr theory, named after Marshall, Arrow, and Roemer, three economists that their ideas were central in the development of this theory. So what this says is that cities grow when firms in the same industry cluster together. So knowledge flows easily between similar firms. So the specialization, so a large number of firms that are very similar creates increasing returns. So think of Silicon Valley's dense tech firms and all the network that creates. That's basically the Marr idea. The second comes from Michael Porter. It's similar to Marr, but he says that knowledge spillovers occur in specialized geographically concentrated industry. So that's the same. But he says, he adds a little wrinkle to it. He says that it's local competition, not local monopoly, that fosters the pursuit and the rapid adoption of innovation. Um, the Marr theory focuses more on monopoly, local monopoly. But this is when, but Porter, he's thinking more of competition, of forcing innovation. The third is a little bit different. This is the Jacobs theory, inspired by Jane Jacobs. She argues that innovation thrives on diversity, not similarity. So it's when different industries are together, when the people interact. New ideas emerge that wouldn't have appeared in isolated or in specialized environments. So think something like New York City or Boston with a mix of different industries and the creativity that flows as a result of that. So basically, here the authors put these to the test. So they use city level data from across the US for on different industries from 1956 to 1987. And they examine what kind of local environments lead to faster employment growth. So again, this isn't the perfect analysis, the final word, but this is a really good empirical analysis, provides some evidence for or against these three different theories. So they measure a few different things. One is specialization, so how concentrated a city's employment is in each industry. They measure diversity, so how many different industries are present. And finally, they look at competition, the degree to which industries are dominated by a few firms. So then they ask, do cities that are specialized, diverse, or competitive tend to grow faster? So they find evidence that diversity is important. So cities with a broader mix of industries tend to grow faster. This is pretty strong support for Jacobs' externalities. They also find evidence that competition fosters growth. So cities with more competitive industries tend to grow faster than those with local monopolies. So basically, this means that knowledge spreads more when firms must innovate to survive, and there's competition between firms kind of driving that innovation. This falls right in line with Porter. So specialization isn't enough. Having a sort of local monopoly like under Marr, it can explain some cases like manufacturing, but not most of the long run growth. These findings at the time really changed how we thought about regional development. So, and how policymakers have thought about it since then. So policies that focus narrowly on recruiting one big industry may miss the bigger picture. Healthy urban economies depend on connections across sectors. So engineers talking to designers, universities, collaborating with businesses, brand new startups learning from the old legacy firms. So basically, successful cities grow because they're good at combining many things, not because they have a laser focus on one specific industry. And it may seem kind of simple, it may almost sound corny, but it really is an important insight for theory and for practice. You may not think it's profound until you see how many state and local governments still focus their policy based on the Marr externalities.